I'm not doing it again. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where my kids' needs aren't met. I'm not going to do it. It's like I do everything that I can to make my home our home.
Kristyn's memory of our experience in Lehigh was that I never showered at her house, which isn't actually true. I showered at her house a lot. And so what I see Kristyn doing is that she twists the past experiences that we've had to a negative place. And that's the reason she's not wanting to be in one home.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, October 15th. I've been fighting with my hair all day. Did you have a chance to see my husband's video this morning? He was talking about jack-o'-lanterns. So we are rolling out a brand new series called Todd's Takes. I want to say thank you guys for being very forgiving. We are working on getting him comfortable on camera, and obviously we have some work to do on the editing because he's not as comfy speaking to a camera as I am. So it takes a while, you guys. Like the very first video you make and then you do videos on a daily basis and you get more comfortable, it becomes more natural. You don't have to worry about all the long pauses and all the ums and the icks and the ugh and the smacks. So we're gonna get there, but I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna find topics that interest you guys as well as interest him, because he wants it to be a little bit, I think we want it to be a little bit different than what I do, because if it was just the same, that would be boring. So check out his video up here. So yesterday I broke the story that Kristyn had moved back to Utah, and I let you guys know that she had moved into a duplex and she was in Murray, Utah, which actually, after I got off the video, I had an opportunity to speak with her aunt, Kristyn Decker, who is her mother's stepsister. I hope that makes sense. So Kristyn Decker is a former member of the AUB. She is now out of the AUB and helps advocate to help people leave the world of polygamy. And I had a chance to speak with her. She has been wanting these women to leave Kody for years and has been watching sort of from the side, trying to, encourage, yet, be skeptical and trying to help people understand that what you're seeing on TV is not the reality that the women in this world are living. And I talked to her about what this could mean for Kristyn, and she gave me a little bit of insight, and I don't know necessarily what it all means, because obviously the sister wives are very closed and tight-lipped about what they're doing, and they have contracts. So this is what Kristyn said to me. She said there could be one of two things going on here. One is that she has left Kody and that she is moving on with her life. For this to be true, she said, Kristyn would have to abandon her beliefs of the celestial kingdom and her eternity. And so if she's walking away from Kody and the marriage, it's not just about walking away from Kody, but it's also walking away from that life. And so she could be leaving Kody and leaving that life, but she has to exit that belief system. And she said she doesn't know, because she hasn't spoken to Kristyn, if that's where she's at. I have expressed to her that, on Instagram, she's not interacting and she's not posting photos with Kody. And she said, really, that doesn't mean a whole lot. She said she's a little skeptical just because she knows that this family does do things and over dramatizes things, and Kody will go to lengths to try to get ratings. So she wasn't totally sure, but she's hopeful that this could be true. She said another option could be this. She said there's a lot of women that are in the world of polygamy that, rather than actually staying in a bad situation where they're living with their husband in a place they don't want to be, apparently jealousy is extremely common, especially when your marriage is not going the way that you want it to. So sometimes women will then just move away and not necessarily leave the marriage, but kind of leave the marriage. So she said there's a lot of women that live in the world of polygamy that will move to another state, and they might see their husband every few weeks, every few months, once a month, once every couple months. And it's a way for them to sort of separate themselves from the jealousy that exists of having to be around other women that are sharing their husband with them. It can also be a way for them to live within the peace of not having to see all the other relationships and have a sense of, well, when he's with me and we're in Utah, he and I are together, we're alone. So she thought one option could be that she moves to Utah and then Kody travels to see her every so often. So I don't really know what it is. And she said another option could be, so I guess there was 3 options. So one is that she's left, meaning she's left Kody and she's left the belief system. The next is that she's left Utah, but she's still with Kody and Kody will come and visit her. Third would be that she leaves Kody, but she doesn't leave the belief system. So she basically just lives kind of like single. Like she won't get remarried. She won't disrupt the union that she has with Kody. She won't disrupt their eternal celestial kingdom. She stays in that mindset. She'll stay around people within the church. She said it's a lot like kind of what Mary is doing, where Mary is clearly not with Kody, but still staying within the realms of the family. She also mentioned that Mary's mom did something similar to that, where Mary's mom, after her dad passed away, sort of lived independently, never got remarried, and just sort of like stayed in the mindset, didn't leave polygamy, but wasn't in a polygamous relationship. So didn't lose her community, didn't lose her family. So when I told her about where she moved, she said the area in which that Kristyn has moved is an area that is very heavy of the AUB. So the Apostolic United Brethren have a lot of houses, duplexes, fourplexes. There's a lot of polygamists that live in this specific area. And she said it's within a few miles of where Kristyn's father lives, within a few miles of where Kristyn grew up. So Kristyn could really be going back to her roots, going back to her family, going back to her church. One of the gripes that Kristyn had with where they were living in Utah, in Flagstaff, is that they had lost their entire community. They had lost all the other people around them that were actually polygamists, losing the church, losing the community, and she felt really, really isolated, and she didn't feel like she was a family with the people that she was there with. So by going to Murray, she is surrounding herself by other people that are in her church. There's a church not far away, so she can be more enmeshed within the church, and she wouldn't necessarily be leaving polygamy. She would just be kind of removing herself from the situation around Kody. So I don't know where Kristyn's at right now. I don't know if she's leaving Kody in terms of like leaving polygamy. She could still stay in polygamy and stay with Kody. She could also request that it be a terminated marriage, and she could also end up somebody else's wife, which is another option for that Kristyn brought up, is that even though she would end the relationship with Kody, she could end up getting married to another polygamist. So she could become a 5th, 6th, 7th wife of somebody else, which she said can happen too. So once a woman leaves one family, they might go on to another family. So I guess there's 4 options. One, she leaves everything, but then she abandons her belief system. Her mother left. She's not a part of that church anymore. Kristyn left. She's not a part of that church anymore. She could still be with Kody, but live in Utah. She could be single and live in Utah, but still be a part of the church. Or she could be in Utah, single, but also potentially finding a new suitor that's still in polygamy. There's a lot of options here, and it's also very complicated because, as Kristyn said to me, in order to actually leave polygamy, you have to be able and willing to you have to be ready to leave that. And she doesn't know if she's there yet. She doesn't know where she's at. Kristyn said she left polygamy when she was 51 years old, and she was able to leave with some of her children, and some of them stayed within the polygamous world. You have to consider the fact that Kristyn comes from a very long lineage, and she has family that has all the way up to the top of the church. So her grandfather was the leader of the AUB for quite some time. Both of her birthrights, so her mom was a LeBaron, and then her dad is an Allred. They're both original families in the fundamentalist world. So for Kristyn, she doesn't know anything else. This is everything that she's grown up in. She's almost like a pedigree in a way. And the other weird thing, obviously, is that everyone is related. So Kristyn is her Kristyn is not only her step aunt, but she's also her cousin. Okay, so Kristyn Decker is also her dad's cousin. So Kristyn Decker is not only her step aunt, but also her cousin. Is that even, that's weird. So, Kristyn's always wanting and rooting for them to move on. but it takes a long time for them to get there. And some of them just don't want to disrupt the life that they've lived. I don't know where Kristyn is at. What I know is that she's, according to Kristyn, in an area where there's still a lot of church people. There's a church not far away. The church owns a lot of property in that area. There's a lot of fourplexes where polygamists live. So she's going to be around a lot of polygamists. She's going to get some of that culture back that she wanted. I don't know if that means that she's going to stay in polygamy, or if that, going back to this specific place is a way for her to get back to her roots. I don't know if it's going to mean that she wants to be more in her church and she wants to be more in polygamy. I don't know. But she's not in Arizona, and that doesn't mean really anything that we know yet. And I don't know where Kody's at. Like, do you think Kody would want to go and visit her in Utah? Do you think, considering all of these options, and I think it's very confusing, and obviously this is very convoluted, and these are the options expressed to me by a former polygamist, happens to know Kristyn and the family, doesn't have a relationship with them today, but understands the complexities of leaving, how it's hard for someone in a position like Kristyn to actually make take that step to leave. So the cons that make her feel like she's still connected to the church are that she's moved back to an area where there's a heavy church presence, where there's a lot of homes owned by the church, and that she's not far away from her dad, who's still involved in the church. So there's that. So Kristyn could have one of four options. It's very convoluted, it's very messy, and it's very confusing, but I hope you understand and I hope you listened. So for those of you that are interested to learn more about polygamy and would like to get Kristyn Decker's book, I'm actually going to have her email down below in my description box, which she has let me know that you guys can send her an email. She's got about 800 books right now in her garage that she'd like to move, and she will charge you only $5 shipping and handling, and she will send you a copy of her book, 50 Years in Polygamy, which details her life in polygamy and then her escape from polygamy. It's a complicated world. It's not this idyllic fairy tale where everyone gets along. It's actually a lot more complicated. It's a lot more messy. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of enduring to the end. And for the women, it's a lot of loneliness. So my hope for Kristyn is that at some point she finds something where she doesn't feel so lonely anymore, and that maybe she finds the courage to leave. If nothing, this is a step for her independence, and for that, I'm happy. Where this goes and what this means, we'll have to wait and see. So you can send Kristyn Decker an email if you'd like to get her book, and she will contact you back. She was really excited the last time we did this, and I hope you take it up on her. Kristyn is an amazing woman. I absolutely adore her, and I think you're gonna love her book. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below.